Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Dreamfiction and today we will be reading the story, The Emperor of Darkness, written by Georgethetperson 55. The boy, about 17 years old, with brown hair and chocolate brown eyes, was walking home with a huge smile on his face and a small group of people around him. His name was Issei, of course, host of Welsh Dragon Drag, aka the Red Dragon Emperor or the Heavenly Dragon of Domination. They were walking home after a day of having lots fun together. The high school year just ended. Akeno, Riaz and Sona, with her queen Tsubaki, graduated from high school just yesterday, while Issei, Asia, Zenobia, Irina and Kiba will be third-year students after the summer break. The graduates are planning to go to college next year that is near Cowtown. Issei had a great idea to celebrate their graduation together for a whole day, and much to everyone's joy, Sona and Tsubaki agreed to join them for the day, along with her peerage. They had an extremely fun day at an amusement park and later at a beach, much to Issei's and Saji's excitement. Irina wasn't able to come with them as she was sent to heaven by Michael himself for the whole summer. They were able to watch some bouncy action as the girls played volleyball. When it was their turn to play they couldn't focus on the ball and were hit a couple of times in their faces or even worse, below their waist. It was quite dark already when Issei, his ladies and buddies reached the house. Kiba and Saji tagged along to spend some more time together. Issei didn't mind them coming as they were his best friends and brothers in arms. They entered the house and turned on the lights. While everyone went to the living room, Asia and Akeno went to the kitchen to prepare some snacks and drinks. After a couple of minutes, everyone was gathered in the living room and enjoyed each other's company. But suddenly everyone's attention was gathered by a red magic circle with Grimoire ruins glowing in the middle of the room. Seconds later 4 people emerged from it. 3 of them were tall, but one of them wore a formal robe and shoulder platings. His eyes were baby blue and shoulder-length crimson hair like Ria's, while the other was muscular and had purple eyes and jet black hair and wore simple clothes. The muscular man held a box full of what looked like expensive bottles of alcohol. The other 2 were a man and a girl that looked a lot alike. The beautiful young girl had dark blue eyes with long blonde hair tied into twin tails with large drill-like curls and pink ribbons that kept them in place. The front of her hair had several bangs hanging over her forehead. She wore a beautiful pink dress and had a small box too, but from the smell, Issei could tell that she had a delicious pie ready to be eaten. Lastly, a tall and handsome young man in his early 20s with short blonde hair and dark blue eyes was next to the girl. He had an arrogant smirk, but not too arrogant after Issei's beating. "Yo Sarerg, Zetches, Ravel and fried chicken," greeted them Issei with a toothy grin. Everyone chuckled at Riser's misfortune as he growled from annoyance. "Why hello there brother-in-law," greeted him back the crimson-haired man who was Serzich's. Both Issei and Riaz gained a tint of red on their faces from slight embarrassment while the rest of the girls had jealous looks. To make the situation worse for the duo, the muscular man with the box who was Sarerg started laughing at their embarrassed reactions. "If you're gonna laugh any longer I'm gonna beat you again like 2 weeks ago," warned Issei. "I wouldn't mind us fighting again," replied Sarerg as he put the box on the ground next to his feet but never broke the fierce eye contact with the Red Dragon Emperor. The rating game between Sarerg Bale and Riaz Grimoire was 2 weeks ago and Issei came victorious at the last moment after getting knocked out by Sarerg and gaining his newest and strongest form yet, called Cardinal Crimson promotion. Issei was promoted to the middle-class devil after the rating game and Sarerg's mother woke up from her long-lasting coma. Now, we didn't come here to fight," said Serzich's calmly with a kind smile. Both titans broke their fierce glare and shook hands with prideful smirks. "So what business do we have with you? After all, it's quite late," asked Issei politely this time. "Well, we came here to celebrate 3 occasions tonight," said Serzich's. "And those are?" asked Riaz. "Issei's promotion," answered Ravel shyly with a blush. "Their graduation." Riaz the next one who spoke was Serzich's. "Their victory of the rating game." The last one was Sarerg that spoke. "I understand Ria's graduation, but we already celebrated the victory of the rating game and my promotion," said Issei with a confused expression. "Well, I didn't participate in the last 2 celebrations because as you heard my mother finally woke up from her coma, so I spent as much time with her as I could," said Sarerg. "And I had some business to attend to with my family," said Ravel. "Come on Issei, I don't think it will be harmful to re-celebrate your promotion and our victory again, right? Plus they already came here with some nice presents," said Akeno with a seductive voice as she hugged him from behind. "Why yeah. I think so too. I mean my parents will return only after tomorrow, so let's celebrate," said Issei with a strong blush as he felt Akeno's breasts being pressed against his back. Everyone cheered and soon enough Sarerg took out a couple of bottles from the box that he brought while Akeno went to bring some glasses. They somehow managed to make Issei drink some of the alcohol even if he wasn't of age. But Saji drank with no problem as if it wasn't his first time even though he was drunk after only a couple of glasses. But Ravel and Kiba didn't drink any as they didn't want to. After 2 hours of drinking and sharing some hilarious stories while drunk and funny moments of Roswis who passed out not too long after, Surziches had to go as he had business in the morning to attend to. Of course, he didn't leave by himself. Grafia helped him no, dragged him by his ear while she scolded him for drinking too much and left. Not much later Ravel decided to leave too as she achieved her goal of making Issei try her cinnamon apple pie, which Issei described as amazing, much to her joy. They were having fun and drinking until Issei had what he thought was a great idea. He grabbed Kiba by his wrist and started to drag him out of the living room. "Hey Issei, what are you?" Kiba tried to ask him what he was doing but got silenced by him. "Shhhhh, I want to hiccup to propose to the girls hiccup, so I need your help hiccup to finish our project," said Issei between hiccups as he wobbled towards the exit with Kiba behind. "But aren't you too drunk?" asked Kiba nervously. "Nah hiccup, I'll be fine," said Issei as he opened the door and walked outside with Kiba. "Hey Drake, you awake?" called out Issei to the mighty dragons of domination through a mental link. "What is it that you need, partner?" asked Drake with a tired voice that indicated that he was asleep. "Can you maybe somehow make me undrunk?" asked Issei. After a moment of silence, Drake responded tiredly. "Sure, but it will get really hot." "Hot?" asked a dumbfounded Issei. He didn't get an explanation from Drake but rather a demonstration. Issei started to sweat a lot as his body temperature rose significantly. He started to pant as the temperature rose and burned out all of the alcohol within his body and after 5 minutes Issei was good as new but sweaty. "Thanks, pal," thanked Issei as he was now sober. "No problem," replied Drake as he fell asleep. "Kiba, can you help me out here?" asked Issei as he pointed at his sweaty clothes. "Sure," replied Kiba with a chuckle as he summoned the light blue sword. He slashed at the air with the sword and a small wave of water hit Issei. It was stronger than what Issei expected as he was knocked down to the ground. "Sorry," apologized Kiba as he offered his hand. Issei grabbed his hand and Kiba helped him stand up. He then summoned a different sword that emitted small flames from the edges. "Don't burn me," said Issei. Kiba nodded and did the same as last time, but with much less force and a weak flame just enough to vaporize the water from the clothes. "Thank you, now wait a sec, I need to make a call," said Issei as he took out a phone from his pocket and luckily was still working after what it just went through. He started to call someone as Kiba just watched and not long after Issei's call was answered. "Yo kiddo, what you gonna tell me?" answered a male voice. "Yo Azazel, still up I see, good, look I want to finish our little project tonight as fast as possible, please," said Issei hastily. "You mean the rings?" "I mean, if it's so important to finish them tonight who am I to not help my buddy out?" said Azazel. "Thank you, Azazel, I promise to repay you somehow someday," said Issei with a voice full of excitement. "Sure, a bottle or two of sake and a small trip to a strip club will be fine as payment," said Azazel with a chuckle. "Sure. See you at Grigori," replied Issei as he hung up. "We have a green light," said Issei with a thumbs up and a goofy smile. "Yeah, I kind of heard all of it including the payment," said Kiba with a light chuckle. "Don't tell anyone about it and can you teleport us to Grigori?" said Issei with a stern stare. "Sure, let's go," said Kiba as he created a crimson teleportation magic circle beneath his feet with Grimory ruins. Issei stepped into the circle and they were gone in a crimson flash. In the dark room, a crimson flash lit up the whole room for a moment that looked like science researcher crafting and building lab. Soon the lights turned on and a tall man who appeared to be in his 20s with an average build, black hair, golden bangs and a black goatee, slowly walked into the room with a long yawn. "So you are already here? Good, let's get started," as it sounded urgent in the phone call, said Azazel as he walked towards the duo. "Yeah, let us not waste any more time than needed," said Issei all hyped up. Azazel prepared some tools and took out a wooden box which contained unfinished rings for Riaz, Akeno, Asia, Kaneko, Zenobia and Arena, though Arena will get hers when she comes back. Issei brought materials like gems and diamonds out of his safe. Like that the trio spent at least 4 hours finishing the rings. Issei poured his whole heart and soul into them to make them perfect for the girls. Azazel was already asleep in his chair and Kiba almost fell asleep too, if not for Issei who closed the wooden box with the rings. "Well Kiba, thank you for your assistance once again and I will repay you too in some kind of way," said Issei with a tired smile. "Sure, but not the same way as Azazel," said Kiba with a tired chuckle. "Okay, but you at least need to find a girlfriend," said Issei. "Sure someday," replied Kiba as he stood up from his chair and stretched his limbs. "Alright, take this box and let's do like we practiced those other times," said Issei as he gave Kiba the box. Kiba once again created a teleportation magic circle and teleported both of them back to the mansion with the same crimson flash. "Good luck, kiddo," whispered Azazel with his eyes closed as he fell asleep for real this time. Issei and Kiba arrived at the mansion's doorstep. "Well, time to go in," said Issei, but he sounded completely different. Just a moment ago he was excited and looking forward to it with confidence. Now he sounded nervous. "Don't worry, Issei, no need to be nervous, remember that you have mine, Azazel's and Drake's support right at this moment, so nothing can go wrong," said Kiba with a kind smile as he held the wooden box. "That's right, partner, don't be a chicken and enter like a fearless dragon," roared Drake confidently. Issei smiled after hearing that they will support him and nothing will go wrong, it put his mind at ease. He took a deep breath and opened the door. They saw that the lights in the living room were still on, but no noise was heard. Issei and Kiba thought that maybe they fell asleep as they did take 4 hours at the Grigori, but Drake had a bad feeling already. They entered the living room and much to their surprise, they saw only a passed-out Roswis on the ground with a bunch of empty bottles laying around the room. Issei and Kiba chuckled before Issei picked her up and placed her gently on the sofa. "Maybe they're upstairs," whispered Issei as he looked at Kiba. Kiba just nodded and they went to the elevator. They got to the 3rd floor and silently walked towards Issei's bedroom. Everything went okay until they heard something really disturbing that froze both men and made Drake even more anxious. "Ooh yeah, Issei." A moan of Akeno filled the corridor. Issei looked at Kiba to see if what he heard was a hallucination, but his expression told everything. Without a word, Issei decided to move on, but Drake spoke through the mental link. "Partner, I think that's a bad idea, we need to fall back, I have a bad feeling about this," warned the mighty dragon. What do you mean? You just told me to enter like a fearless dragon and now fall back," replied Issei as he didn't stop walking. Drake didn't utter anything back as it was true, but he still didn't want Issei to continue. The closer they got the louder the moans got. Kiba noticed how Issei started to tremble, so he decided that they should stop. He grabbed Issei's wrist, but when Issei glared at him with now bone-chilling red eyes instead of gentle and soft brown ones, made Kiba release Issei and just continue walking. Soon enough the duo were standing in front of Issei's bedroom, from where all of those moans came from. Issei reached out to the door handle with a trembling hand and held his breath as well as prayed, even if he was a devil he still prayed that it was just a prank or the girls just masturbated thinking about him. But the bed's intense screeching made it look otherwise. As soon as the door was opened by Issei, a strong smell of sex filled their nostrils. The room itself was dark, but both Kiba and Issei saw everything in the dark because devils had a night vision sight. What both men saw shocked them to their very cores. Kiba looked at Issei and saw him stop breathing and his red eyes glow more intensely. It reminded him of the time when Issei activated the Juggernaut drive for the first time. Kiba then looked back to the horrid scene that was Akeno being pounded by Riser while the other girls and 2 men were passed out cold from alcohol and all the fun they had. Kiba then noticed that Asia's nether region seemed to be gushing out the white stuff while the other girls were clean because they used protection and seems like Issei noticed that too as he started to breathe unevenly. "Yes, Issei. You are so good at this," suddenly moaned Akeno with an expression that screamed pleasure as Riser sped up. It seemed that the bed begged for help as it barely was standing. "The girls are so drunk that they somehow managed to mistake Issei for them," thought Kiba with such fury. He couldn't believe that his master and savior who he looked up to so much was doing such things behind Issei's back, his brother's back who he looked up to even more. Kiba wanted to summon his sword of betrayer and slashed the heads of the 3 men. But before he could do that, Issei started to back away slowly before sprinting out of the house down the stairs. Kiba didn't even get the chance to stop him as he just disappeared. "You morons. What are you doing?" shouted Kiba at the disaster that was in front of him. But they were so drunk that they didn't even hear him and continued their fun. Kiba saw that there was no use, so he contacted Grafia. "Lord Serziches needs to get here as fast as he can, we have a huge problem, please get here quickly to the Haidu household, the town is in danger," said Kiba with an anxious voice as he feared for the worst. "We're coming," replied a feminine yet serious voice. 5 minutes later the bed screeching and Akeno's moans were silenced and a few more minutes later a silver magic circle appeared next to Kiba who was leaning against the wall next to the door where the hideous scene was last seen. "What's the matter, Knight of Rias?" asked Serziches who stood in front of Kiba with his wife and Queen Grafia who was wearing her usual maid uniform. "So I just look inside this room and you'll see how your dear sister messed up this time," said Kiba with a disappointed sigh as he pointed at the door next to him. Serziches got a bad feeling when the knight of his sister said those words. He looked at Grafia who nodded and walked in front of the door before opening it. As soon as she opened the door she let out a shocked gasp and covered her mouth with both of her hands from both shock and smell. Serziches rushed in right behind her and he saw Rias and half of her peerage naked together in bed with Sererg, Riser, and Saji. Serziches became furious as he released his aura and woke up all of the filth as the mansion started to shake. Everyone shot up from the bed, and the first thing they saw were Graphia's and Surzich's glowing blue and red eyes that were full of anger and disappointment. Brother," stuttered Riaz out of fear and confusion as she saw his angry eyes. Brother, what's going on? What are you doing here?" asked Riaz, still not processing what was going on and not noticing the three men who were at the bedside, shivering from fear, regret and disappointment in themselves. "No Riaz, it's me who wants to know what is going on here and what were you doing with them," said Surzich's with controlled anger as he pointed at the three men who flinched. Riaz and the girls looked at the three naked men and then recalled the moments of what happened not too long ago. The memories were hazy and blurry, but they understood what happened. "And no, this can't be real, no. It can't be," shouted Riaz with a horrified expression as the girls behind her started to cry and sob. "But it's real and you fucked up big time here," said Kiba with disgust, who was standing in the doorway with his arms crossed. "Where is Ice?" asked Akeno with a shaky voice. "He ran away after we saw you," Akeno and Joy Riser. "Oh. And by the way," said Kiba calmly before leaning behind the door and grabbing a wooden box. He threw the box and let the rings fall out of it on the ground. The rings scattered on the floor as everyone let out a gasp. Kiba took one ring from the floor that had a golden orange gem. That ring was Irina's. Since she wasn't here, Kiba decided to give it back to Issei, as at least one girl was faithful. "A week ago Issei asked me to cover for him with devil work so he could make these rings for you. Every early morning he asked me to help him practice his proposal speech so that he wouldn't disappoint any of you. He was really looking forward to this moment. He put so much thought and effort into this one single moment, but you just I can't believe how messed up you are," said Kiba before he turned to look at Surzich's. "My lord, Issei ran out of the mansion, and I believe that the town is in danger because Issei can't control his emotions at the moment, so we need to find him as fast as we can," said Kiba with utmost seriousness. "Yes, Graphia, contact Sona and let her dispatch her peerage and help Ria's night search for Issei," ordered Surzich's. Graphia and Kiba nodded before he ran out of the room and Graphia contacted Sona. "Brother, we will help too," said Riaz with a weak voice. "No, you and your present peerage will go to the Gremory mansion and wait for me there. Well, the three scums better get out of my sight," said Surzich's sternly before Graphia created a magic teleportation circle beneath her feet. The three men teleported with their own magic circles, while Graphia teleported Riaz and her peerage to the Gremory mansion before coming back to Surzich's. "Sai, why did any of this happen? It was supposed to be just a small celebration party, but now everything is ruined," said Surzich's as he rubbed his forehead. Graphia walked up to him and placed her hand on his hand. "Not now, dear, we have a huge problem at hand, later you can rant all you want," said Graphia with a sweet and soft voice. Surzich's took her hand before kissing it. "Okay, dear, let's G," before he could finish a loud roar, followed by a huge amount of dominating aura washed over the town. "Damn it," said Surzich's as he and his queen flew with their devil wings or the windows towards the source of the roar. Some minutes earlier. After running out of the mansion, Issei took flight into the skies with his balance breaker activated. He didn't fly for too long and hid in a small cave in the forest of Cowtown. He sat down and tried to calm down. "Partner, how are you?" spoke Drake slowly. How am I after what they did? I ain't some toy that can be just thrown away like that. Who do they think they are?" echoed Issei's shout of pure fury and agony through the cave as his tears kept hitting the ground. "Calm down, partner, we have even worse problems right now regarding your pawn pieces and a curse that dragons get after their mates betray them or the mates die. You have very little time to," spoke the wise dragon, but it fell on deaf ears as Issei stood up with his glowing eyes. Rainer was right. Who would want to be with a pervert like me? Those wannabe friends turn their back on me and have fun with my women. I'll kill them all, I will obliterate their meaningless existence," shouted Issei as his aura started to leak violently. The curse of the Juggernaut drive rapidly started to influence Issei's thinking and mental state. "Partner, calm down. I can't keep the past hosts at bay for too long. You are already dying. Stop this," roared Drake, but Issei didn't hear him again and his balance breaker once again appeared without even calling out to it and several green orbs appeared and floated around Issei. "It's starting, yes, it's starting once again," spoke one of the green orbs. "I'll kill them," repeated Issei. "Finally, this time you will surely fall to the curse of the Juggernaut drive," spoke another. "I'll kill them all," roared Issei as the images of his now ex-girls making love with his brothers kept flashing in his mind. "I, who am about to awaken. Am the heavenly dragon who has stolen the principles of domination from God." "Partner, stop," roared Drake for the last time, but it didn't work as Issei continued to chant. Issei was getting bigger and his aura swirled around him violently, destroying the cave entirely in the process with the explosive power. "I laugh at the infinite and I grieve at the dream. I shall become the red dragon of domination. And I shall sink you into the depths of the crimson purgatory." Juggernaut Drive. Roared Drake as soon as Issei finished the chant, and with a powerful roar that shook the ground woke up the whole town, but right after that all of the humans were knocked unconscious by his overwhelmingly dominating aura. There he stood, in a very similar to the scale mail armor, with a much more dragon-like gigantic form. The armor possessed claw-like growths on the hands and feet, as well as horns and a fanged mouth on the helmet. The whole ground shook and cracked from his aura alone, but he did not release only his aura, but some kind of crimson miasma that oozed from his body and covered the whole town with it. Issei was tall enough to see the whole town of Kao, and as soon as he noticed the mansion he roared once again before moving towards it. He didn't get too far as a bunch of magic circles appeared in front of him in the sky about 50 meters away from him. Out of the magic circles came out Surziches, Grafia, Kiba, Sona and her peerage, except for Saji, Azazel and Michael. "What in the world is happening here?" shouted Azazel as he looked at Issei, who activated the Juggernaut Drive for the second time. "I would like to know that too, he was praying earlier some weird things," said Michael. "No time for explaining. Right now we need to get him out of his armor," shouted Kiba, who was behind them. "What is this mist?" asked Tsubaki, Sona's queen. "I don't know, but it makes me feel very uncomfortable, it keeps sending chills down my spine," said Sona with a slightly unnerved look. The beast got annoyed as the people ignored him, so to gather their attention he started to power up. "Boost X20. roared Drake's voice. Everyone was on guard and prepared to fight this beast. Even Surziches was not enough to defeat Issei in his Juggernaut Drive without killing him. "Drake cannot contact Issei nor anyone else once the curse is activated, so we can't know Issei's condition at the moment," explained Azazel. "Azazel, send the White Dragon Empress here, even if she is in the Chaos Brigade we can't stop Issei without her help, we will stall for time in the meantime," said Surziches. Azazel nodded and called the White Dragon Empress via a magic circle that appeared next to his right ear. "Sona. You and your peerage create a barrier so Issei won't be able to destroy the town, Kiba and Grafia you will help her while I, Azazel, and Michael will hold him back," ordered Surziches. "Yes, my lord," replied everyone before they landed on the ground and started to create a dome-like barrier around Issei, Surziches, and Michael. "You ready?" asked Michael. "Yes," replied Surziches as he powered up followed by Michael. They unleashed their auras, but it was no match for Issei's dominating one. Surziches unleashed a barrage of demonic attacks, as well as the power of destruction spheres and beams, while Michael used holy magic and light spears, but if it damaged the armor even slightly, it repaired itself instantly. While they were holding Issei in place, Azazel finally contacted the White Dragon Empress. "Speak. Valerica, we have a problem here, and I bet you already know what it is," said Azazel hastily. The Red One activated the Juggernaut Drive again. "Yes, I felt it," replied the Empress known as Valerica. "Still referring to your crush as Red One?" asked Azazel. "Who told you that?" shouted Valerica. "That doesn't matter, now, you want to save your crush or not?" asked Azazel. He got no reply so Azazel tried to pressure her. "Remember it's his second time activating the curse and his life force is still not replenished," said Azazel. "Fine, I will come," said Valerica before she ended the call. "Ho ho, from rivals to lovers, how sweet," chuckled Azazel before he entered the barrier to help hold Issei in one place. "Lane break. Where are you going, Valerica?" asked Arthur as he saw Valerica leave the training ground. "You keep training here, I have some business to take care of," replied Valerica as she left the room. "So I'll mind telling me how Azazel found out about that?" asked Valerica as she put on her combat clothes. "Well, you speak about the Red One's host so much while you sleep I may have or have not told about it to Fafnir to vent my frustrations," replied Albion. "You'll pay for this," said Valerica with a sadistic grin that sent shivers down Albion's spine. "Balance breaker," shouted Valerica. "Vanishing dragon balance breaker," roared Albion, and in a bright white and blue flash, Valerica was in her armor. She created a magic circle and vanished in a flash. Back to Kao. Valerica arrived at the scene and the first things she noticed were that the whole town was covered in a dark crimson mist and a knocked out Sona and her peerage with lone Grafia who was struggling to keep up the barrier. Surziches and Michael had injuries but nothing too serious while Azazel was in his downfall armor. And the last thing she noticed was Issei in his Juggernaut Drive, destroying the surroundings and the annoying bugs that were in front of him. But once she saw his eyes and felt the mist she felt a deep sadness. His eyes had flowing tears, but the tears were that of blood. He let out a roar, but it didn't seem that of rage, but rather sorrow and agony. "Albion?" asked Valerica. "It can't be, Valerica, your crush here has very little time left, he's cursed by one of the most powerful dragon curses called Dragon's Fall. Once a dragon's mate dies or betrays, the dragon gets a curse and dies in a week or two. Hosts of draconic sacred gears have a slim chance of getting the curse, but if that happens many times or the host's heart is weak and can't handle something like that, the chances are bigger. There are 3 stages of this sickness. The first one is rage, dragon can't control its emotions, second, a mist is spread from dragon's body, and the third is blood tears, but I feel a strong demonic and draconic energy clash that is happening inside the boy's body, his pawn pieces are corrupted and are quickening the process of the dragon's fall, not speaking about his life force being depleted right this moment. Luckily this time the form is incomplete too, otherwise we wouldn't be able to save him, explained Albion to Valerica. Then there's no time to waste, said Valerica, and as she was ready to take action, Issei launched a long smasher at the faction leaders who were stalling for time. They were unlucky and were blown away from the force of the attack through the barrier, while Grafia fell to her knees, unable to keep the barrier up. Valerica landed on the ground and started to chant. I, who am about to awaken. Am the heavenly dragon who has taken the principles of supremacy from God. I envy the infinite and I pursue the dream. I shall become the white dragon of supremacy. And I shall take you to the limits of white paradise. Juggernaut drive. Roared Albion as soon as Valerica finished the chant. Her juggernaut drive was similar, but white instead of red, and the gems were blue, not green like Issei's, and some details were different but the same draconic appearance. Long smasher. Roared Drake's voice as Issei unleashed another beam, this time at Valerica, but once it got close, it disappeared without reaching its target as Albion roared. Divide x20. Valerica didn't waste any time as she charged a blue sphere in her claw, using the energy she stored up from Issei's last attack and combined it with her demonic magic. Once she released the attack it hit Issei, and he roared out of pure pain as bits of Issei's armor flew in every direction before Drake's voice rang out again. Divide x10. And Issei cancelled the attack but was obviously damaged and the armor was repairing slowly now. Valerica was glad when she saw Issei get weaker, but it wasn't because of the attack. Valerica. His life force is almost all dried up. He isn't getting weaker, he will use every last drop of his power and life force to destroy everything here in one last move. Roared Albion, shocking Valerica in the process. Do you have any suggestions? Asked Valerica hastily. Yes, but you won't like it, not one bit, answered Albion. Just tell me already. Shouted Valerica. You have to run, said Albion. Are you crazy? I am not running away. Shouted Valerica. Then you'll die here. You don't have the time nor the power to stop him anymore, it's too late. Roared Albion back. Valerica became silent and had very complex emotions about this until she had one last idea. Office. I need your help. Roared Valerica, but nothing happened. Please office. I beg of you. Roared Valerica one last time, and much to her relief a magic circle with an infinity symbol appeared next to her and a loli with black hair, black eyes and pointy ears like an elf emerged from it. So noisy, said Office quietly with an emotionless expression. Office. Help me remove him from that armor quickly before it's too late. Shouted Valerica as she pointed at the red draconic armor that was out of control. Office waited a moment in silence before giving her an answer. I'll help if this noise stops, answered Office as she sent her snakes at Issei. The black snakes wrapped all around Issei and kept him at bay, while Office opened a tier to the dimensional gap beneath Issei's feet. Issei fell into the dimensional gap, followed by Office and Valerica, who was still in her juggernaut drive. The tier closed and Issei's eyes and all of the gems started to glow more intensely by the second. Hurry up. You have at least half a minute left. Warned Albion. Office next moved to Issei's limbs and tied his legs, arms and wings. Issei was resisting with everything he had, but he couldn't fight against the dragon god at the moment. Valerica didn't waste time and started tearing his armor down, slowly using her sharp armor claws while dividing Issei's energy. Divide x50. Roared Albion, but Drake's voice wasn't silent either as Issei kept boosting his power. Luckily for them, Issei couldn't repair the armor anymore and his defenses dropped significantly. But it was painful for Issei as the armor was forcefully removed from his body. It felt the same, if not worse, as peeling someone's skin. Issei struggled and resisted in every way he could, but nothing worked as Valerica continued to tear his armor. The blood tears and the mist never stopped gushing out, as well as the sorrowful roars. Come on, you idiot. Roared Valerica desperately as the time was running short. Inside Issei's mind. It was darkness all around, a body of a 17-year-old boy who was on his knees, clenching his chest above his heart, crying and weeping as the memories of the scene kept flashing in his memory and the moans of pleasure echoed. It was pure torture for Issei. Just a few hours ago or so he came up with a great plan to propose to the girls, but now he was seconds away from death as the juggernaut drive continued to consume his remaining life force and sanity. Shut up. Just shut up, for hell's sake. Just shut your damn mouth. Shouted Issei as he couldn't listen to those moans anymore. But suddenly he heard a voice that made him stop weeping. The voice that he thought he would never hear again. What are you crying for, darling? Asked a mysterious yet beautiful voice. Issei slowly looked behind and saw her. Rainer. Issei thought that was it, she would finish him off, but instead of that she just smiled, not cruel or sadistic, but a genuine and kind smile before speaking again. "Why are you crying here?" asked Rainer again. "If you are feeling sad or are in pain, just share with your closest people and forget the ones that brought you that pain. Start with me, I'll take all of your anger and sorrow so you can start over again," said Rainer as she crouched down and hugged him. "Why?" he stuttered out of pure confusion. He thought that she came here to mock him and completely destroy him once and for all, but. "Why, you ask?" "Because I truly love you. I know my actions say otherwise, but I had a reason. I truly regret killing you that beautiful day. I hope you can forgive me someday," said Rainer. Issei couldn't believe what he was hearing, he thought that she was lying, but her eyes told him everything. Her beautiful pink eyes held so much regret and sorrow for what she has done. Issei didn't know what to say, he was lost for words. "No need to say anything, now wake up and don't you dare to close up that beautiful heart of yours with those cold and disgusting walls of ice. I for a fact know that someone will make sure to keep you from hiding your heart, but I want to hear you promise me yourself," said Rainer. Issei just stared at her before her expression turned a little angry. "I said promise," said Rainer with a hint of anger. "IP promise," stuttered Issei. Issei wanted to say something, but before that could happen he was kissed by Rainer on the lips with passion and love that she truly felt. She removed herself from Issei and spoke her final words. "Now wake up, my cute dragon, don't ever give up, and I promise I won't give up here either," said Rainer as she slowly faded away. It was darkness for a moment before Issei's eyes shot open. The first thing he saw was what he thought was the night sky as he looked at a bunch of small glowing dots in the sky, but once he sat up, white hair fell on his face. "What the? Since when is my hair so long and white?" asked Issei, but something else caught his attention, he was somewhere very familiar. "The dimensional gap?" asked Issei out loud. He noticed that he was on a small boulder that was big enough for 3 people to sleep on and a black barrier that surrounded the boulder. Suddenly he heard a grunt. He looked down and near his feet he saw a sleeping Valerica. "What did I miss?" asked a dumbfounded Issei. "A lot, partner," replied Drake. "Oh hey there, so what exactly happened?" "I can't remember anything," only said Issei, but silenced after he remembered what happened, but the memory ends at the cave. "Drake, what happened in the cave and why are we in the dimensional gap?" asked Issei. "After you hid in the cave you activated the Juggernaut drive and got a curse called Dragon's Fall," said Drake. "I activated it again. But what is Dragon's Fall?" asked Issei. "Once a dragon or a host that has dragon-type sacred gear gets betrayed by its mate or the mate dies, the dragon gets a curse, the Dragon's Fall curse, and has a week or so until death. The only way to stop the curse is to either forget the mate, which is practically impossible, or find another mate. The problem was that you had activated the Juggernaut drive, which consumed your life force further, your pawn pieces got corrupted, and your demonic and draconic energies clashed together inside your body and quickened the process of Dragon's Fall and rapidly destroyed you from the inside. Luckily for you, the town wasn't destroyed as Surzich's, his queen, Azazel, and Michael kept you away from the town and stalled for time as they waited for their savior. Valerica, with the help of Office, deactivated your Juggernaut form, but you were still at a huge risk as you had only 10 minutes left to live because of the Dragon's Fall curse. We had to purge your corrupted pawn pieces and turn you into a 90% dragon because otherwise you would have died once the pieces were removed without turning you into one. Then you had to get cured from the Dragon's Fall, and the only way to do that was for you to mark someone as your mate or be marked as one. And the candidate was Valerica, your now ex-rival and your current mate," explained Drake. There was a lot of information for Issei to process as he stayed silent for at least 5 minutes straight. Are you okay with this?" asked Issei. "I don't care about the rivalry anymore if that means saving your damn life," replied Drake with a huff. Issei stayed silent for a while again. He has never expected Drake to throw out his rivalry with the White One just like that. "How long was I out?" asked Issei after a while. "For a month, partner, but this barrier that you are in right now is created by Office and it not only protects you from the dimensional gap as it is a time barrier. What I mean to say is that here you spent 1 month while outside of the barrier only an hour or so passed by," explained Drake. "I see. Do you recall anything while you were in the Juggernaut drive this time or did you forget again like last time?" asked Drake. I forgot," replied Issei, but felt that something really important happened but couldn't recall it. "What now?" asked Issei. "Now you wait until Valerica wakes and thank her for saving your life, you damn idiot," said Drake before going to sleep. Issei inspected his body and saw that he still wore the same clothes that were all torn apart and bloodied. He didn't smell nice, that's for sure. Issei then looked back at the sleeping Valerica. He reached out his hand and softly rubbed her silver white hair and then her soft and warm cheek. He didn't realize what he was doing. "What are you doing?" asked Valerica as she opened her eyes. And nothing. Replied Issei as he hastily removed his hand from her. Valerica sat up and stretched her arms with a small yawn. Issei got to see her in full beauty. She wore simple jeans that hugged her soft butt and thick thighs, a white shirt with red spots from Issei's blood that beautifully displayed her bosom and a leather jacket. "How are you feeling?" asked Valerica. "Fine. Sore mostly, is it true? Did you mark me as your mate?" asked Issei. This question caught Valerica off guard. A small blush formed on her beautiful face. "Yes, I did, so what?" asked Valerica as she turned to look away from the embarrassment. "You did this only because you wanted to save me, right? Thank you for this," thanked Issei. "Do you really think I did all of this just to save your sorry ass and get a simple thank you in return?" asked Valerica with a glare. Issei didn't know how to respond. "I did this because I like you for quite some time now, and when Albion explained about Dragon's Fall curse, your corrupted pawn pieces, and the lifespan consumption of the drive made me sad because I thought you were slipping out of my grasp as I literally watched your life slowly slip away and reach its end. It hurt me so much for some reason," explained Valerica with tears that rolled down her cheeks slowly. This was a side of Valerica that only a few people have ever seen. Issei just looked straight into her eyes and saw how beautiful they were. The blue orbs shined beautifully until for a moment he saw that horrid scene in his mind again. He flinched and Valerica noticed that. I don't know if I can after what happened," said Issei as he looked away. Valerica felt a little hurt, but she did expect something like this. She got closer to him, grabbed him by his collar, pulled him closer, their noses were almost touched. "Listen here, you are the Red Dragon Emperor and a dragon who are known to be fearless. Will you really let those whores stop you here? Or will you make them regret their choices? You are my mate now and I will love you until I die and no one will stop me, not even you, so you either forget them or be a wimpy kid." "I don't need a weak mate, understood," shouted Valerica with a glare. As Issei heard her describe him as weak and a wimpy kid made him furious as his new dragon pride took a hit. His new dragon instincts didn't like that at all and made Issei dominate her rather than let her insult him. He kissed her full force with passion. Valerica was shocked but reciprocated the short kiss. As they finished they both blushed and didn't make eye contact as they weren't used to this yet, they were rivals not too long ago after all. Valerica stood up and offered Issei her hand. "Let's go, we can't stay here forever," said Valerica. "Sure, but I'll need a shower and new clothes," said Issei as he stood up with the help of Valerica. She helped Issei walk because he didn't walk for a month now. She took a sword out of her pocket dimension that was Caliburn that she took without Arthur's knowledge and slashed the air with it. A tear in the air was made. They walked through that tear and left the dimensional gap. Unknown location. Issei and Valerica were standing in front of a fairly big mansion, smaller than Haidu household, but still, a mansion is a mansion. "Here we are, your new home, but let's not waste any more of our time, let's head inside, you'll meet my team after a shower," said Valerica. Upon entering the house, Valerica went to the underground training room. There she met up with her team who were training in pairs together. Lefay with Kuroka training and learning some useful magic. While Arthur and Bhikkhu were sparring together, both drenched in sweat. Arthur was fighting with the Excalibur ruler while Bhikkhu with his staff. The training stopped once the team noticed Valerica enter the training grounds. "Oh, so you returned already? What exactly was the problem and why?" Upon noticing Valerica, Kuroka asked. "You'll see in a couple of minutes," answered Valerica. That made everyone curious, so they went to clean up and meet in the living room. With Issei. Issei was standing, letting the water wash away all the dirt, sweat and blood, painting the floor dark red. After a long silence a green circle glowed on the left hand of Issei. "Partner, are you alright? Just thinking what happened to me, just because I left for 4 hours, I mean, it's crazy. Who would have thought that they would do that? I almost died, very painful death yet again. I activated the Juggernaut drive for the second time and survived it, almost destroyed the town. I have turned into a full-fledged dragon. Valerica became my mate, what's happening to me?" answered Issei. "Yeah, I'm surprised that you didn't slaughter them there and then. If not for Valerica and office I would have slaughtered everyone in Kao," replied Issei. "Luckily, the town is safe and only the forest was destroyed. I was holding the past hosts at bay, but your emotions were too powerful and you triggered the drive for the second time, partner," said Drake with a serious voice. "That close to killing a bunch of innocent, huh? I'm a ticking bomb now," replied Issei with a blank look. "Partner, you need help, you aren't stable mentally, you still can trigger Juggernaut drive any moment for the third time, and if that happens, no one can save you anymore," advised Drake. "Drake, can I use divine dividing without any side effects?" asked Issei his partner out of the blue. After a moment of silence, Drake replied. "Now that your body is that of a dragon's turned after being exposed to mine and Albion's auras, there shouldn't be any side effects, though I must ask, what are you planning?" asked Drake curiously. Well, sacred gears work by adapting to the host's emotions, so I thought maybe you can divide my negative emotions, so I won't trigger the drive for the third time, answered Issei. Drake was flabbergasted, is that even possible? But Drake didn't want to risk it, his partner was damaged enough. Partner, I suggest you seek help, there might be severe side effects, said the mighty dragon with utmost seriousness in his voice. I fear you will have to, I don't want to go berserk again, I don't trust myself, my negative emotions can resurface any moment and I don't think I'm ready to talk with someone about my problems, answered Issei as he shook slightly from fear. Divide echoed throughout the shower as Issei's fear and rage subsided. Thank you, pal. Sure, but please, seek help when you are ready. Alright partner, I'll do it in time, promise. Only the running water was heard for a couple of minutes before Issei spoke again. Drake, I'm sorry, apologized Issei out of nowhere. What are you apologizing for? Asked the mighty dragon with a confused tone of voice. I did ruin your reputation as the fearsome dragon of domination with my pervert tendencies after all. Drake didn't say anything for a moment because what Issei said was the truth. It's fine partner, what matters is that you regret that and now you can change for the better, everyone learns from their mistakes just like me, we are family now, we are brothers. Said Drake honestly. I see, then I won't be a pervert anymore, so we can regain our reputation as the heavenly dragon of domination and the mighty red dragon emperor. The enemies will fear us once again and won't look down on us. Roared Drake with pride. By the way Drake, what changes happened after my transformation? Asked curious Issei. Well, besides a decent increase in physical strength, your skin is harder, dragon-slaying weapons are more deadly for you, and your appearance had some changes too, for example, your eyes are red like mine, replied Drake. So we are even more like brothers, now that I have your similarities, said amused Issei. More than ever I guess. Anything more? Actually yes, you have more muscle growth, you have grown taller a few inches, your wings are that of a dragon now, and you can hold your balance breaker longer, replied the proud dragon. Oh, I wanna see my wings, said excited Issei. Two scaly wings poked out of Issei's back, barely fitting in the shower, the scales were mostly white, but had some red ones here and there. Whoa, they look good. Damn straight, but we have a slight problem, said Drake. And that is? Asked Issei. You almost drained all of your life force, so you have left only 2 years at most to live, informed Drake. Oh I see, replied Issei. The way that Nico restored some of your life force was slow and not efficient, but it worked nonetheless, but now it won't be enough, and you'll have to either finish the mark by doing the deed with Valerica, so you'll share your life force together, or let the other Nakashi or Yakai do bedroom arts, explained Drake. Alright, well it's too early for any of that, so I'll wait for a little at least, said Issei. Sure, but don't use any of your life force again, warned Drake. Sure pal, replied Issei. With that, he finished showering and wrapped a towel around his waist, dried his hair and tied it with a hair tie that he found near the sink, and perfectly on time, Valerica came behind the door with fresh clothes. Issei, are you done? Asked Valerica behind the door after a knock. Yeah, I'm finished, answered Issei. Great, I have some fresh clothes for you, said Valerica. Issei opened the door and saw Valerica handing the clothes, but once Valerica looked at him, her cheeks gained a small blush as she saw his upper body. Because of his transformation he is bulkier and has more muscle but not too much, perfect for speed and combat, plus his shoulder-length white hair. Which apart from a couple of bangs was tied back in a single ponytail and his sharp face left with no fat, made her face overheat. She quickly handed the clothes and closed the door. The hell, he's so different after a shower. Can't believe that's really him. Whispered Valerica behind the door as the blush grew stronger. After 5 more minutes Issei left the bathroom wearing a simple black t-shirt, green pants, but the clothes were slightly small for him except for the pants, so Valerica could see most of his muscles through the shirt. Well, let's go? Asked Valerica, barely able to keep her eyes away from Issei. Sure, said Issei, not noticing Valerica's state. Living room. Upon entering the living room, Valerica gathered everyone's attention. I'd like you to meet someone who will be joining us and start living here, announced Valerica her team. They immediately perked up to meet the person. And who is this person? Asked LaFay curiously. Well, from today on forward, with us will be living the Red Dragon Emperor, Issei Haidu, my mate, replied Valerica with a blush. Everyone froze from the shock and stared at Valerica dumbfounded. The Red Dragon Emperor will be living with them, and he's also a mate of his rival, this must be some kind of joke, right? Out of the corner of the entrance to the living room, Issei came sheepishly. Hello guys, Issei said while waving his hand. What do you mean your mate? Asked Kuroka, shocked and a bit jealous. Yay, I thought you were with that harem of yours, said Biku. Divide. Everyone now stared confused at Issei, why was he using divine dividing ability? Issei, why are you using divine dividing? Asked Valerica concerned. Well, I am like a ticking bomb right now, with negative emotions resurfacing. I can trigger the drive any moment again, but I asked Drake to divide those negative emotions, so I won't go berserk, replied Issei while looking at the ground. Everyone was shocked yet again, just what happened to the boy? They all thought. Valerica immediately hugged Issei, and he reciprocated the hug tightly. After a minute or two they parted, but still not used to that kind of interaction they become embarrassed. What happened to you, Issei? Asked LeFay, concerned for her idol. It's nothing, LeFay, you don't need to worry about it, reassured her Issei with the best smile he could muster. If you say so, CC, can I get your autograph for the Op-Eye dragon? Asked LeFay with hope in her eyes as she handed him a figurine of his balance breaker. Issei flinched at the mention of the Op-Eye dragon. He hated it, he saw how stupid he was, and he's ashamed of himself because he influenced children of the underworld and more of the supernatural and ruined Drake's reputation with his stupid antics. Sure, but maybe you want an autograph from the Red Dragon Emperor instead. Oh, wait, you already have that, answer to say. LeFay looked at him confused and a little sad. What do you mean? Asked LeFay. Well, I see now how immature I was, how I ruined Drake's reputation, and how I influenced all the children of the underworld and supernatural world with my stupid antics. It's all my fault. Only mine, and I'm ashamed of myself, blamed Issei himself as anger started to rise. Divide. Issei, calm down, breathe, everything is alright, reassured Valerica. Issei calmed down a bit. You should go take a nap and rest, alright, Issei? Said Valerica, concerned. Alright, sure, it's near the shower I was in, right? Asked Issei. Yeah, good night, Issei. Yeah, night, replied Issei. When he left, Arthur was the first to speak. What happened to him? He's so different, said Arthur with narrowed eyes as he tried to analyze Issei. Yeah. Even his looks changed. He's so damn hot. Shouted Kuroka. Well, let's prepare some tea and sit down, I'll tell you everything I know, said Valerica. With a nod, LeFay and Kuroka made tea for everyone and they went to the living room to listen to Valerica's explanation. Some time later. I have never thought that the Redeed and the rest would do something so horrible to him, and after all he has done for them, said LeFay. Yeah, replied Valerica. I can't believe that Shirin did this, I'm so disappointed, said Kuroka with disappointment in her voice. I wonder how he didn't murder them instantly, said surprised Arthur. He was about to as he went berserk, but he was far from the horse to hurt them. Right now he needs our support, he's hurting from the inside, you saw his mask too, he's trying to hide it, said Valerica. I will help him however I can, you can count me in. Said LeFay with determination shining in her eyes. I'll help too, my sister hurt him, plus maybe he will give me kittens NYA, said Kuroka. Valerica glared daggers at her, but she didn't even flinch. Kuroka, didn't you hear me? Issei is my mate. Shouted Valerica. So what? Did you forget his dream to be a harem king, Naya, said Kuroka. Valerica didn't know what to say after that, so she just crossed her arms and turned away. HMPH, Valerica pouted. Alright, we should go to sleep now, and Valerica, go check up on him, said Arthur. With a nod, everyone parted to their rooms except for Valerica, she went to check on Issei. Upon entering the room she saw Office hugging Issei while both were asleep and Issei's face was wet from tears. After leaving the living room, Issei entered his new bedroom and went straight to bed. When he sat down on the bed he saw a portal with an infinity mark on it, out of it came Office. Drake. Addressed Office to Issei. My name is Issei, not Drake, Drake is my partner, said Issei. Alright, replied Office. After a minute of silence, Issei decided to talk. So why are you here, Office? Asked Issei curiously. I want you to help me defeat Great Red, I want my silence back, said Office. Why can't you just find another place other than the dimensional gap? Asked Issei. Because I was born there, it's my home and Baka Red stole it from me, said Office. What about you start living a normal life like with friends, do you have any friends? Said Issei. No, I don't, what are friends? Asked Office. Friends are your support, happiness, hugs, and fun times, I guess, answered Issei. What are hugs? Asked Office. Issei stood up and hugged Office. She stood there for a second and reciprocated the hug. I like it, I want lots of hugs, said Office. If you like it that much I can be your friend and give you hugs anytime, said Issei happily. Okay, said Office. After 5 more minutes Issei released Office from the hug and sat back on the bed. We can hang out at times, I'll show you how to live a normal life with friends, well as normal as it can get in the supernatural, said Issei. Office only nodded and sat beside him and hugged again. By the way, thank you for helping Valerica get me out of the Juggernaut drive, thanked Issei. Issei expected her to stay silent, but instead of that, he got a question. Why is my friend hurting? The dragon god asked Issei as she looked at him with her shining black eyes. The question shocked Issei for a second but decided to reply. Well, I've been through a lot lately, said Issei. He then proceeded to tell her a short version of what happened to him before he activated the Juggernaut drive. Office listened carefully. "Now I understand why you feel like a dragon and not a devil. Do you want me to kill them?" asked Office. "No, no need, it's not worth it," said Issei as he shook his head. "But that's not all, what aren't you telling me?" said Office. "It's nothing Office, I'm alright," said Issei. "Don't lie to me, you are my friend, right?" asked Office. Issei hesitated for a moment but decided to tell her. "Well, when I was just a human, I was killed by my first girlfriend Yuma, or rather Rainer, and I'm kinda traumatized by that. I'm still kinda scared of girls, and after what Riaz and the others did to me, I can't really trust anyone blindly. That increased my fright of women too, but Riaz saved my life by reincarnating me into a devil, but Rainer was right I guess," said Issei. "Riaz didn't save you," said Office. Issei momentarily froze at a remark. "What do you mean she didn't save me?" asked Issei, not wanting to believe what she was saying. "I've been watching you since you were born because I knew you had drag and I could feel your potential. I saw everything, she schemed your death, she knew fallen angels were targeting you, that's why the white-haired Nakashu have been following you, to make sure the plan went perfectly, she wanted you to become her pawn, to use you," replied Office calmly. "Wow, this can't be true, can it?" Issei couldn't believe that was the truth, or at least he didn't want to. "Partner, I believe she's telling the truth, she just has no reason to lie. I always suspected the Gremory girl. Remember when you got that summoning circle before the date? That was her familiar that gave it to you, she knew all along," said Drake with fury. Issei just stared at a wall as his tears rolled down his cheeks before exploding. "So she just used me from the very beginning," Issei shouted with fury, but before anything could happen. Divide x5. Issei immediately calmed down, tears stopped streaming down his cheeks, but still had a face full of horror and anger. After 15 minutes Valerica walked in and saw Issei asleep with Office hugging each other. Valerica saw his face, but didn't want to wake him up, she just wanted to lay down too, but was not sure, maybe it's too early for that. "Just go and sleep with him already," voiced Albion his opinion. Valerica gulped before she walked over to the bed. She could see that he was crying. She went to him and hugged him from the other side as she laid down, and he fell asleep like Office after 5 minutes. This was the first night in a while that Issei got to sleep peacefully without any nightmares about Yuma, not Rainer, killing and insulting him over and over again. Morning came and Issei slowly woke up, but the problem was, he couldn't move. Opening his eyes, he saw Valerica on his left hugging his arm and Office on the right doing the same. Issei didn't even know how to react to this, after everything that happened to him, he isn't that much of a pervert because people kept using that side of him to manipulate. They had just to show a pair of oppi and he'd do anything, at least it worked, that is until now. He tried to get free from his morning prison, not that he wasn't enjoying this, but because he had to go to the bathroom really badly. Besides that, he was really hungry, after all, he didn't eat anything for a long time. But his plan failed. Valerica woke up and saw Issei trying to get out carefully. "Good morning," Issei greeted Valerica with a sleepy voice as she looked at him. Issei flinched because of his failure. "Good morning," Val stuttered Issei. "Where are you going?" "Bathroom." "First I want to talk to you about yesterday," said Valerica. Issei didn't want to talk about what happened yesterday, but the glare that Valerica gave him, it gave him mad chills. Women are scary, thought Issei. "Alright, what do you want to know?" asked Issei. "First, why does Office keep hugging you?" asked curious and amused Valerica because of the dragon god's actions. "Well, we are friends now I guess, I told her that friends give hugs, she didn't know what hugs were, so I hugged her, but she likes it a lot now and can't stop it." Valerica was shocked, Office liked something else besides her silence. "Anything else you want to know?" asked Issei. "What were you talking about with Office that made you cry?" asked concerned Valerica. "Well, I found out that I was being used all along from the very start." "What do you mean?" asked Valerica. "What I mean is that my death was planned all along, Riaz thought that if I get killed by a fallen, she could just swoop in and revive me to get my eternal loyalty, power, and a new peace," replied Issei holding his rage. "Divide x5," roared Dreg. "If she would have just asked me and explained about the supernatural, I would have gladly joined her peerage, but she knew I was a pervert, so she just used that side of me, so I would do anything she wanted," said Issei with a blank look. "But now that will change, I'm not pervert anymore and no one will use me ever again," said Issei firmly. "Oh, but I like that side of yours, it's amusing," pouted Valerica trying to lighten the mood. "I'll be a pervert for you whenever you want, empress," teased Issei. Valerica was caught off guard for a moment but stood up from the bed and went to the door to leave. "I'll make some breakfast for us, so go take a shower and come downstairs," said Valerica before leaving. After a shower, Issei went downstairs. There he met Valerica and the others were already awake, eating breakfast or just drinking coffee. "Morning," Issei greeted everyone. Morning everyone, Issei greeted back. Just on time, Issei, sit down, I made you breakfast and coffee, said Valerica with a bright smile. Alright, what's on the menu? Asked Issei. Omelette, replied Valerica cheerfully. Sounds great, said Issei as he sat down. Issei ate a whole lot like a hungry dragon that he was. All of the present people were shocked by the appetite Issei had. They were enjoying their breakfast until Issei decided to ask a question. So, you are still in the Chaos Brigade? Asked Issei. Actually, we were planning to leave the brigade as we have no use for it anymore and we feel like there are a lot of things hidden from us, explained Valerica. Really? So you're gonna join the alliance? Asked Issei. Well, that is better than hiding, but we are still dangerous criminals in the faction's eyes, even if we leave the brigade, said Arthur. I see, why don't you just stay in the brigade? Asked Issei. What do you mean? Didn't you hear me? I explained why, said Valerica again. What I mean is that you can be spies and the factions will take you as allies and not enemies, so you won't have to hide or run, explained Issei. That's not a bad idea, said Valerica. Well, that's just my thought, said Issei as Valerica considered the idea. After breakfast, Issei decided to train with Ascalon. He knew exactly who to ask for some lessons. Just on time, he saw the person walking towards the training grounds. Hey Arthur, I have a favor to ask of you, said Issei as he caught up to him. Yeah? What is it, Issei? Replied Arthur politely. Can you train me to use Ascalon? I'm not the best with swords, so it's a waste having Ascalon and not knowing how to use it properly, said Issei. After a moment of thinking, Arthur replied. Sure, I have no problems with that, I was going to train anyways, so why not? Said Arthur. Sweet, thanks Arthur, thanked Issei. Sure, no problem, said Arthur. Maybe you want to spar with me too, Issei? Said Biku mockingly as he walked with Lafay past them. When I'll need a punching bag I'll call you, replied Issei. Lafay giggled at this while Biku grumbled like an old man. Several hours later. Issei was covered in sweat with his gauntlet activated holding Ascalon. His arms, legs and torso were bruised up and bleeding a little bit. Not from Arthur's blade, his skin was too strong for simple blades like that. He cut himself as he was sloppy with the sword and now because he was a dragon, Ascalon did some damage just from touching Issei's body with its sharp edges. On the other hand, Arthur was standing with the Excalibur ruler in his hand and in a lot better condition. Damn Arthur, you sure know how to use that thing, said exhausted Issei. You're not so bad yourself, but you need a lot of practice, said Arthur. Yeah, and you'll help me with that, right? Said Issei. Sure thing, but don't expect it to be easy, I'll make it hell for you, but at least it will help you a lot, replied Arthur. Issei paled a little at his words. With that, they finished and went to clean up. After cleaning up, he wanted to ask everyone why they decided to join the Chaos Brigade. He was tempted to ask that earlier in the morning, but Issei didn't want to ruin breakfast. He decided to ask that later, right now he wanted to relax and maybe take a nap. Line break. Issei was standing behind Kuroka's bedroom and after a knock he heard Kuroka's voice. The NTR. He opened the door and walked in. Oh Issei, what do you want? Did you come here to give me kittens, asked Kuroka playfully. No, I just wanted to talk to you about something, said Issei. Okay, what about, asked Kuroka. Well, why did you join the Chaos Brigade? Asked Issei. Kuroka hesitated to answer but saw no reason to hide it. I did it because when I was a stray, people hunted me and I had no place to stay, but one day Valerica saved me from devil hunters and offered me to join her so I would be safe and would have a place to stay, answered Kuroka seriously. Oh, that explains that, but why did you kill your master? Asked Issei. Kuroka flinched at the mention of her former master and Issei noticed her reaction. You don't have to tell me if you don't want to, said Issei. No, it's alright, I'll tell you, said Kuroka. You see, when I was in his peerage, he did a lot of experiments on us to make us super devils. After he was done with me, he decided to do it to my sister Shirin, but I didn't want that, I wanted to protect her, that's why I killed our master, replied Kuroka sobbing. Issei hugged Kuroka to calm her down. After 10 minutes of crying, Kuroka calmed down. Kuroka, I'll help you to get your sister back, I'll convince her that you're innocent, I'll do anything to reunite you with your sister, said Issei with determination. Really? You'll do it? But I thought you hated her after what she did to you, said Kuroka. I do, but I don't hate you, and I want to help you, said Issei. I have a book that my master used to write down his experiments, here, take it, said Kuroka after she took an old-looking book from a pocket dimension. Issei opened the book and after a couple of minutes of reading, he paled and had a face full of horror. He couldn't believe that Kuroka went through all that horrific experience. Issei was now filled with rage. What a sick bastard. Shouted Issei, but Drake reduced his rage. Divide X3, roared Drake throughout the room. I'll help you with your sister, don't worry, Kuroka, said Issei while smiling reassuringly. Thank you. said Kuroka and hugged him again. Next target, LeFay thought Issei. Later that day he helped LeFay with preparing dinner. LeFay, I have a question, said Issei. What is it? Why did you and Arthur join the Chaos Brigade? Well, my brother was the next heir of the Pendragon family, he was engaged to another noblewoman, and he was quite fond of her until he fell in love with a maid in his mansion. Her name is Elaine. As time went on, both of them built strong feelings for each other. And to avoid any problems, he informed his fiancée that he is in love with Elaine and wanted the engagement broken because he didn't love her. His fiancée agreed because she understood him. However, she told our father about that, and our father pressured my brother to marry his fiancée or the maid will be executed. He didn't want to marry her, nor did he want Elaine killed. He decided to steal the Excalibur ruler and Caliburn and run away, saying if they do anything to Elaine, he will give the swords to the church. I really love my brother and I like Elaine, I see her as an older sister, so I ran away with Arthur, and Valerica found us one day in a small cave where we lived for a couple of days. She offered us to join her for safety, home, and food. We agreed to join her, and here we are, explained LeFay with sadness in her voice. LeFay, what if I told you that I would go and raid that mansion to rescue Elaine? Said Issei calmly while chopping the vegetables. LeFay froze as she couldn't believe that Issei would do something like this for her and her brother. You really would do it? LeFay questioned Issei with excitement. Sure, why not, he is a good friend and you are like a little sister to me, so I would love to help you in any way I can, said Issei with determination. LeFay immediately hugged Issei and started to sob while repeating thank you over and over again. After a couple of minutes, LeFay returned to her task. It's no problem, just don't tell anyone about this, I want to surprise Arthur, alright? Said Issei with a smile. Okay. Replied excited LeFay. By the way, later I'll need you to tell me the location of that mansion, I plan to raid it tomorrow early in the morning or later at night, said Issei. Alright, replied LeFay. After that, they finished making dinner and prepared the table. As they finished their dinner, they all went to sleep. But unknown to Issei, someone snuck into his room while he slept. The next morning Issei woke up pretty early, it was 4 in the morning. He decided to get ready for his raid, but when he tried to move, he heard a quiet grunt. Looking to his side, he saw Valerica sleeping peacefully on his chest with a smile. He decided to continue sleeping and go for the raid at night. This time Valerica woke up. She yawned before positioning herself above Issei. Seeing that he was still asleep, she smiled before kissing him on the lips, but something unexpected happened, Issei reciprocated the kiss. When they parted, Issei greeted her. Morning, that's a nice way to wake me up, said Issei. Valerica blushed as her heart started to beat faster. Morning, Valerica stuttered out while looking away, trying to hide her blush. Not that I don't enjoy this kind of morning wake up, but what are you doing here? Asked amused Issei. Well, I couldn't sleep alone last night for some reason, so I decided to sleep with you, and it worked in an instant, replied Valerica. Oh, the White Dragon Empress can't sleep without her hug, pillow, teased Issei with a smirk on his face. Oh, shut it. Shouted Valerica while hitting his chest playfully. After that, they decided to go eat breakfast and later do some training. The day was average for Issei until he ran into Biku. He decided to ask him the same question he asked Kuroka and LeFay yesterday. Sup Biku, how are ya? Asked Issei. Oh hey lizard, replied Biku mockingly and angry. Come on, you wanted to spar, I granted your wish. It's not my fault you are a great punching bag, said Issei with a smirk. Biku glared at him. So what do you want? Asked Biku. Just one question, said Issei. Yeah, what is it? Asked Biku. Why did you join the Chaos Brigade? Asked Issei. Biku was confused by the question, but answered nonetheless. I left my ancestral territory because no one appreciated my work, I always worked my butt off for someone to acknowledge me for who I am and not as next Wukong. But it all was for nothing, no one changed their views about me, so I just gave up. After my training was complete and I had mastered all the Wukong techniques, I left the place to travel the world. During my travels, I met Valerica. We hit off pretty well, and later we joined the Chaos Brigade, answered Biku. Well, I think you're a great help to your team as they do appreciate you a lot, plus, you're a great friend, your jokes are funny, even if you go a little overboard, and you're a nice punching bag, said Issei before laughing at the end. But that Issei helped Biku feel better about himself, but got jazzed around the mansion because of the last part he said. Furious Biku decided to stop when everyone got called for dinner by LeFay. After dinner was over, everyone went to their rooms to get some sleep. But Issei went there only to get ready for the raid. Before going out, he left a letter on the bed. Are you ready for the night raid, partner? Asked Issei with a smirk. Of course, partner. Finally some action. Replied a happy dragon. With that, he jumped out of the window and activated his balance breaker. Just as he jumped out the window, Valerica entered his room but saw that it was empty and had an open window. Looking over the room, she saw a letter in which she read, "To my empress." She blushed slightly and opened the letter. "If you are reading this, I guess you want to sleep with me again. Sorry, but I have an important mission tonight. I'll come back early this morning if the mission is successful. You don't have to worry, it's nothing too serious. Good night and sleep well, my empress." Valerica was a little pissed off because Issei didn't tell her anything about it but decided to ask him about the mission when he returns. With Issei. As Issei was flying at an impressive speed, he was nearing the Pendragon mansion. He got the description of Elaine from Lefay, so he knew how to find her. Suppressing his presence, he sneaked into the mansion through the balcony. Deactivated the balance breaker and he went inside. He wore black clothes. Upon entering, he saw something disgusting. Elaine was pressed against a wall by a man who was trying to get his way with her. "It's all your fault that young master has left. Because of that our lord has been very stressed and didn't have the time to punish you, so I will do that myself. I'm going to have a whole lot of fun this night with you all damn night, so better prepare," said the man. Issei didn't wait any longer and took out Ascalon from the gear and rushed towards the man, stabbing him through his leg and kicking his lower part. The man screamed out in pain and fell to the ground, and soon enough Issei heard guards coming. Without wasting time, Issei grabbed Elaine in a bridal style as she yelped out of surprise. She was nearly assaulted by one of the head guards just a few seconds ago, and now a handsome young man captured her. "Yo. I'm your friendly neighborhood Drake. Don't worry, I'm a friend of Arthur, doing him a small favor," said Issei playfully. She immediately calmed down. "For the kidnapping to look more realistic, start screaming for help," said Issei. She did just that, but before the guards could get them, Issei jumped off the balcony, which was on the 6th floor. Elaine was terrified. But before they could hit the ground, Issei whispered something. "Balance breaker," said Issei. "Welsh dragon balance breaker," roared Drake's voice full of pride. Elaine was surpassed yet again. She was carried by the Red Dragon Emperor himself. But moments later they both started to laugh because of what happened to the guard. After few minutes of flying, Issei teleported outside the window of his room. Upon entering, Issei deactivated his balance breaker and released Elaine from his grasp. Then he saw Valerica sleeping on his bed with a letter that he left in her hand. He smiled before kissing her forehead. It was still late night, so he decided to bring Elaine to a spare bedroom to get some rest. Returning to his room, he laid down beside Valerica and fell asleep before wrapping her with his arms and wings. In the morning, Valerica woke up and noticed to be wrapped up in something really comfortable and warm. Opening her eyes, she saw Issei holding her clothes and his wings wrapped around her. She formed a little smile on her face before kissing him on the lips. "I will never get tired of this kind of wake-up call," said amused Issei. Valerica smirked a pain-promising smirk before asking a question where a wrong answer can cost him a hell of a beating. "What kind of mission did you have yesterday? And why didn't you tell me directly?" asked Valerica as she glared at Issei. Issei shivered at the cold glare. "Well, why don't you call everyone downstairs to meet our new member?" asked Issei nervously. Valerica adorned a confused look. "What do you mean, Issei? Who did you bring here?" questioned Valerica angrily because Issei brought someone without her knowledge nor permission. "You'll see, just call everyone for the meeting, alright?" pleaded Issei while sweating buckets. "Alright, but you'll have some explaining to do," said Valerica as she got up and walked out of the room to call everyone. "You barely dodged the bullet there, partner," said amused Drake. "Yeah, that I did," said Issei as he got up and went to get Elaine. Time skip. Everyone was seated in the living room waiting for Issei. "Well, Issei, we're waiting," spoke an impatient Valerica as he entered the living room alone. "Well, I'd like you to meet our new house member," said Issei, getting glances of curiosity from everyone but Lefay because she already had a guess who the person was. "I'd like you to welcome Elaine Westcott," said Issei. As he finished, Elaine walked into the living room with a big smile. Arthur couldn't believe what he was hearing or seeing. As Elaine walked in, she saw Arthur with his mouth agape. She giggled a little bit before going straight to him and bringing him into a tight hug. Arthur, for the first time in a long time, smiled, not a forced smile, but a genuine smile full of happiness. Lefay ran towards Elaine and hugged her too. "Big sister. I missed you so much," shouted Lefay and started to cry tears of joy. "Me too, dear Lefay, I missed you too," replied Elaine as she patted Lefay's head. "Is that really you, Elaine?" asked Arthur. "Well, of course it's me, I missed you so much, Arthur," replied excited Elaine. "But how did you get here?" asked Arthur. "Last night I was saved by the Red Dragon Emperor. I was seconds from being raped by Ermthi Headguard," Elaine replied while starting to cry, remembering how close she was to a nightmare. Arthur immediately hugged her. "It's alright, everything is fine now that you're here," said Arthur while whipping her tears away. Arthur then looked at the smirking Issei. Thank you Issei, you earned my respect and now I can truly call you my brother said Arthur with a big smile on his face. Issei only nodded and started to leave but got stopped by Valerica. So, this was your mission? Asked Valerica. Yeah, LeFay told me about Elaine, so I decided to raid the mansion replied Issei. Okay, but where are you going? Asked Valerica again. I simply want to sleep a little longer, so I'm heading back to bed, you can join me if you want said Issei before leaving everyone. Line break. Issei woke up and felt someone beside him. He thought it was Valerica, but when he opened his eyes he saw Office hugging him. She wasn't asleep. Hello Office, what are you doing here? Asked Issei. I want hugs, Office simply replied. Issei immediately hugged her back. They stayed like that for almost an hour before Issei decided to take a shower. But Office had other plans, she didn't release him. Office, I have to go take a shower, please let me go said Issei. No, I want more hugs said Office. I'll give you chocolate if you release me said Issei smirking. Okay, Office immediately agreed. Ha. Nailed it thought Issei. Yesterday, when Issei gave her some of Valerica's chocolate, Office immediately started to love it as she ate almost half a box that Issei found in the mansion's storage. Issei took some chocolate out of the small box from a small cabinet drawer. Here you go Office said Issei as he gave her chocolate. Thank you said Office with a tiny smile. I can't believe that you made an emotionless dragon smile partner said Drake to himself in awe. With that, he went to the bathroom to take a shower and the day went as usual for Issei. When the next day arrived, Issei decided that he needs more serious training. So he asked Drake for advice. Hey Drake, how can I make my training better for myself? I feel like my current training isn't enough anymore asked Issei. Well, I think you should go to the underworld, to the Dragon Mountains, where Tannen is training hatchlings and young drakes, I think he can train you once more without any problems, answered Drake. Yeah, I think it's a good idea, it has been a while since I talked or trained with Tannen replied Issei. Plus, now that I'm mostly a dragon I can try dragon apples, said excited Issei. Partner, those apples will taste heavenly, you won't be able to resist once you try one, said Drake chuckling. Well, before we go, I better inform Valerica of my plan said Issei before leaving his room to find Valerica. After a couple of minutes, he found her training in the underground training room. Hey, Val, what you doing? Greeted Issei from behind. This startled Valerica a bit but composed herself almost instantly. You shouldn't come up from behind like that, you scared me pouted Valerica. Alright replied Issei smirking. Anyway, what do you want? Asked Valerica. I'm leaving for a month, I'm visiting Tannen and I'll be training with him, now that I have a dragon's body normal exercises won't do much for me, so who's better to train a dragon than a dragon? Said Issei. Alright, just stay out of the trouble replied Valerica. Sure, whatever you say my empress said Issei as he kissed her on the lips before going back to his room. There he packed some clothes and put them into his pocket dimension. Now that he's mostly a dragon, he can use the pocket dimension easily with his magic. With that, he jumped out of the window and used his wings to fly towards the Dragon Mountains. Lately, he's been enjoying his freedom and flying freely, maybe because dragons love freedom and flying. After a couple of hours of flying, he reached the Dragon Mountains. But before he could enter he was stopped by 3 dragons, they were guards of the territory. Halt, identify yourself and state your business, ordered the first guard. I'm the Red Dragon Emperor, I came to visit Tannen replied Issei. Red Dragon? But you smell like a dragon, isn't he a devil? Show us the gear as proof said the second guard. Issei summoned boosted gear as ordered. Here, happy now? Said Issei while smirking. Yes, please come with us, we will lead you to Tannen immediately Emperor said the third guard. No need, I'll do it myself, you just guard this place said Issei as he flew away into the territory. Upon entering he saw a bunch of dragons flying around some sleeping in the caves and hatchlings are training or playing with each other. After 5 minutes he reached Tannen and saw him training a group of hatchlings. Issei didn't want to interrupt, so he sat on the hillside waiting for the training to end. After an hour of waiting, he saw hatchlings leave Tannen alone, so Issei thought their training was over before flying over to Tannen. Hey old man, long time no see said Issei grinning. Issei, Drake, what a surprise, what are you doing here? Asked Tannen happily. I came to ask you a favor said Issei. Yeah? What is it? Asked Tannen curiously. I want you to train me said Issei. What do you mean? Like last time with a woman's body? Asked Tannen. No, I'm sorry about last time, I'm not that way anymore, what I mean is that you train me as a dragon, I'm not a devil anymore, I'm mostly a dragon now, so I need serious training, replied Issei. Yeah, you don't smell like a devil, and your presence is different I won't even start about your appearance, how did you become a dragon? Asked Tannen. Well, after I got Dragonfall's curse, my pawn pieces got corrupted and I had to purge them, but if I do that I would die, so Dragon Albion had to turn me into a dragon by taking my heart, said Issei. Tannen was shocked, what happened to the boy to get such a terrible curse? Alright, but you have to explain to me what happened to you, said Tannen with a serious voice. Time skip. That spoiled little brat, I didn't expect her to go low like this, growled Tannen. Yeah, I didn't expect that either, whispered Issei. Divide, roared Drag. How come you can use Albion's power? Asked Tannen. In the peace treaty day, when Valerica betrayed us, I took Albion's gem and absorbed her divide powers, of course, it was really painful and took some of my life force, said Issei. Okay, but why are you using it right now? Asked Tannen. Drake divides my negative emotions so I wouldn't activate the Juggernaut drive again, I already did it twice, and it consumed almost all of my life force already, if that happens again I will die and people around me will die too, said Issei calmly. But I don't understand one thing. How did you get cured of the Dragonfall's curse? The only way is to mate with another female, said Tannen. Well, this will be amusing for you, I mated with Valerica, the White Dragon Empress, replied Issei with a serious gaze. Tannen's jaw dropped. Never was he speechless like this in his long life. Hearing that two heavenly rivals mated. Too many surprises for one day. I think we should go to sleep now, there are enough surprises for me today, said Tannen with a sigh. Sure thing, old man, said Issei as both of them flew away. Tannen showed where Issei will be staying and of course, it was a cave, but Issei did not complain about it. The next morning when he woke up he felt really great, even though he slept on the ground in a cave. Getting out of the cave he was met by Tannen in his human form, waiting for him with strange fruit. Patch. Said Tannen as he threw that fruit. Issei caught the fruit and asked Tannen while inspecting the strange fruit. Hey old man, what is this? It smells great, said Issei. That is a dragon apple, come on try it, answered Tannen. With one bite Issei immediately ate the whole apple in seconds while drooling for more. Whoa. These are good. I want more already, said Issei. Told you, partner, once you try it you can't stop, said Drake while chuckling. Drake is right, but before you eat more, how about a spar? Asked Tannen excited. Issei being a dragon couldn't resist fighting, he had become a battle maniac like Valerica. Sure old man, bring it, said Issei confident with a big smirk. Both of them unfolded their wings and flew to some open space for the spar. Upon reaching it, they landed on opposite sides facing each other with battle-hungry grins. Tannen immediately created a barrier around them to avoid unnecessary destruction. Balance breaker. Welsh dragon balance breaker, roared Drake. Boost X10. With that, they charged at each other with powerful punches and kicks. Issei already boosted past his previous limit and with that, he decided to use a dragon shot. Dragon shot. Tannen wanted to take it head-on, but saw that it was way too powerful, he didn't want any unnecessary damage this early in the battle. So he sidestepped and a large beam hit the top of the mountain, completely destroying at least 30 meters of the top. Tannen was shocked by the power Issei had, and he wasn't even at his limit yet, Tannen saw just how much stronger he got. Just where did he get all this power, wondered Tannen. But right now that didn't matter, he was enjoying this spar. Issei booted even more, still far from his limit. Tannen then used his famous blaze meteor flames. Issei immediately boosted his armor durability and flared a huge amount of aura, even the ground started cracking to prevent the flames from doing any damage to him. When the smoke cleared, Issei stood in the crater with cracked armor, but Drake repaired it fast. Seeing this, Tannen got even more excited. Tannen was already using 80% of his full power. You got stronger from the last time I trained you. You just kept running away from me then, but now you are making me use almost all of my power, impressive, praised Tannen. Well, I've been working hard lately, replied Issei as he uppercut Tannen, sending him flying a few meters back. Tannen lost his guard and Issei used this opportunity to use another dragon shot but 10 times stronger. He quickly charged a small energy ball in his left arm while boost echoed throughout the battleground. Issei launched a dragon shot at Tannen and he had no time to react and got hit by the beam dead on. When the smoke and dust cleared, Issei saw Tannen in the crater bleeding a little with a smile on his face, but that was not the limit of Tannen just yet, he was one of the Dragon Kings after all. Suddenly Issei's head was grabbed by Tannen and stabbed in the back by Tannen's extending horns. Before Issei could do anything to counter, Tannen axe kicked Issei in the back of his head and sent his face to kiss the ground. And that's where you lack experience, young Drake, said Tannen proudly. Damn old man, you pack a punch, said Issei as he slowly got up before wiping the blood from his face. With that, they patched up and left the place to make some arrangements for the training. So what do you want to train exactly? Asked Tannen. I want to learn to use flames, fire breath, train my body, and get stronger. Last night Drake said if I will be able to use fire, he would try to teach me how to use his powerful flames, blazing inferno, scorching flames. Though we don't know if I will be able to learn it, but it's worth a try, said Issei. Tannen thought for a moment and agreed. He arranged his schedule. First, they will try to awaken his fire affinity, then try to use fire breath. At the end of the day, they would spar full power. While sleeping, Issei will be training with Drake and learn how to use his flames. With his schedule, Issei agreed and they started right away. To awaken your flames you have to feel it, you have to want it, you have to control it, you have to dominate it. So sit down and meditate until you can feel your fire coming, instructed Tannen. Issei did what he was told to do. It took him 4 hours to awaken his flames, but he did it nonetheless. He practiced using his flames with his hands to get a hold of it. Later he tried using fire breath, but it didn't work, probably because it was too early for that. He had to master the control over the flames first. And at the end of the day, he fought with Tannen, ending in Tannen's victory because Tannen used all of his power. At the end of the spar, they went to sleep. But Issei trained with Drake inside the gear. Line break. Issei already spent half a month training, and right now he was training with a dragon named Bova. He was the youngest son of Tannen. The fight ended with a win for Issei. You did good, Bova, thank you for the spar, said Issei, sweating. No, I should be the one thanking you, Red Dragon. It's an honor to fight with you again. But one day I'll beat you, said Bova, laying on the ground in a crater. Sure, Bova, but for the last time call me Issei, replied to him Issei. I see you two are done already, said Tannen while approaching them with some dragon apples. When Bova met Issei, he immediately challenged him to a fight. This was going on every day, and Bova always loses but definitely improves. The old man, ready for your beatdown too? Asked a smirking Issei. Tannen laughed at that. Issei almost reached Tannen's level in the first half of the month. His control over his flames improved greatly, and he can use fire breath already. He's an incredibly fast learner. In the gear, Drake teaches him how to use his flames. It's really hard for Issei, but he managed to make small flames of blazing inferno, scorching flames, much to his joy. Right now it's useless, but it's a good start. His body improved, his muscles are more defined, he's able to resist strong flames and heat. Tannen's flames do less and less damage to Issei as he grows stronger by the day. His magic reserves grew bigger too, but there was a small problem. A lot of young and older female dragons developed a crush on Issei and usually stalked him when he was training. Some watched him sleep, so he started to cast barriers before going to sleep. Sure, after a small break, here, take these, I brought some apples. Issei has been enjoying dragon apples ever since he got here. He ate only dragon apples day in and day out. After the break, they had their fight and went to sleep after. Inside the gear. Partner, concentrate, don't lose your focus and you'll be able to improve the control over the flames, said Drake. This was one of the many sessions of team to learn Drake's signature flames. In the first hours nothing happened, but suddenly he summoned Drake's flames, and much stronger than the last time, about 15 times stronger than the last time. Seeing this, Drake started to laugh proudly. Issei was able to summon Drake's flames now, but they were still too weak for now, so he has to do a lot of practice. Compared to Drake's flames when he was in his prime, Issei's flames are nothing right now, yet at least. The morning arrived and Issei immediately went to Tannen to tell him about his accomplishment. Morning, Tannen, I have some great news, said Issei, excited. Yeah? What is it? Asked Tannen curiously. I can finally summon Drake's flames. They are still weak compared to when he was at his prime, but it's a really good start, said Issei proudly. That's great, young Drake, keep pushing forward and you surely will become a powerful dragon, said Tannen proudly. By the way, today I won't be able to train with you because I was called to a meeting with faction leaders, said Tannen. Alright, but don't tell them that I'm here, they are still searching for me as Valerica told me. I'll reveal myself in time, said Issei. Tannen only nodded and flew away. Meanwhile, I'll show the world true chaos as I release the monster from its cage, said a man with a cold voice. My lord, the preparations will be done in a couple of months. While we are waiting for the preparations to be done, we should gather more men for the future chaos, because we are lacking, said another man. Sure, do that, for now, we'll let them enjoy their happy lives, will they still can replied the mysterious man with a dark chuckle. Dragon Mountains. On this day Issei trained mostly alone, or played with hatchlings. They love to play with Issei when he has spare time, but that just made it harder for him to deal with the females. At the end of the day, he fought with Bova as usual, and the day ended without anything interesting. When the next day arrived, Tannen returned and told Issei that the meeting was about his disappearance and Valerica successfully joining the alliance and becoming spies with her team in the Chaos Brigade. That was great news for Issei. Last day of training. Issei improved greatly, he finally reached Tannen's level, mastered his flames, and he can use Drake's flames effectively but still far from mastering. Before you leave, take some dragon apples, we know you love them, I haven't seen a dragon loving these apples so much, said Tannen while chuckling and handing over the apples. Thank you Tannen, for everything you have done for me. I'll make sure to repay you someday, said Issei as he put the apples into his pocket to mention. No need, it was fun having you here anyways. So make sure to visit, said Tannen smirking. Sure old man. You know I had this cool idea, what if we both create a dragon faction? Said Issei. Tannen's eyes widened at the suggestion. To create a faction we need more land and many more things, it'd take a lot of preparation and time, said Tannen seriously. Well, I think I can arrange that. So what do you say? Creating the mighty dragon faction with me, eh? Old man, said Issei. Well, I'm in if you think this will work out, said Tannen. Some dragons overheard what the Red Dragon Emperor suggested and the news spread like wildfire amongst the dragons. They were happy having the Red Dragon Emperor with them, and doing something big and serious like that for the whole dragon race was great news. Well, I'm off then, old man, said Issei. Safe trip to you, Issei, Drake, said Tannen. Even if Issei can use magic circles, he just prefers flying, so he just spread his wings and took off. Once Issei returned to the mansion, he found it to be empty, thinking that Valerica and her team went on a mission or something like that, he didn't worry. As he walked into the kitchen he found Elaine cooking lunch. Yo, Elaine, where's everyone? Asked Issei as he came up to her side to help with the food. Oh, hey Issei, you're back. Everyone is on a mission, said Elaine with a smile. I see, anything interesting happened while I was gone? Asked Issei. No, not really, me and Arthur went on a couple of dates together though, said Elaine with a warm smile. That's good, finally the guy actually does something besides wielding a sword day in and day out. Anything else? Said Issei. No, just Valerica a bit worried about you, admitted Elaine. Why would she worry about me? She knows that I can take care of myself pretty well, said Issei. She just cares about you and wants the best for you after what happened to you, said Elaine. So you know it already, huh? Yeah, LeFay told me about it, said Elaine sadly. Hey, it's alright now, no need to worry about Lil Almi, besides I have a great family and friends watching over my back, said Issei with a smile, once he noticed her sad expression. Elaine nodded with a smile of her own, and they continued cooking. After lunch, Issei decided to go train with Ascalon for a couple of hours, he barely trained with it, so he decided to get some practice in. When he finished he took a shower and went to the living room where Elaine was cleaning. Hey, Elaine, when did they leave anyway? Asked Issei. 2 days ago. Did they say when will they return? No. Oh. I forgot. Said Elaine as she suddenly went to the kitchen, before Issei could ask. Elam already returned with a letter in her hands. Here, take this, Valerica left you this, she said if you return first I have to give you this letter, said Elaine. Issei opened the letter and started to read it. We are leaving for the meeting with the 3 factions, we gathered information that the Chaos Brigade is preparing for something big. It's related to the holy relics, according to Azazel and Michael together the relics if used correctly, they can unseal the Calamity Beast 666. We were sent to find out about these rumors to see if they are true or not by Azazel within the Chaos Brigade and possibly locate the relics. We will probably return in a week or so, if we won't return by then we told the faction leaders that we have someone that could help find us. I didn't tell who exactly it is because I didn't know if you wanted to stay low for some time. So hopefully everything will go without a hitch. Don't get too bored alone. Love you, my red dragon. Issei learned about the beast not too long ago, but he knew what kind of danger it was for the world and possibly other dimensions. Elaine, seeing his distraught face, tried to call out to him. Issei? It worked and Issei snapped out of his thoughts. It's nothing, Elaine, everything is fine, said Issei as he walked out to his room. Reg. Could the Chaos Brigade try to unseal Trahixa? Asked terrified Issei. I don't know, but it's a high possibility. I advise you to prepare for anything, partner, don't drop your guard down, said Drake with a serious voice. Right, replied Issei. The next day Issei woke up early. He went downstairs to make coffee for himself, but Elaine already beat him to it. Morning, I see you are already awake, greeted Issei. Good morning, Issei, want some coffee? Asked Elaine. Sure, thank you, replied Issei with a smile. After a cup of coffee, Issei decided to visit Tannen and talk about the crucial information he gathered yesterday. Elaine, I will be gone for an hour or two, so if you need anything just call me and I'll be here for you, said Issei as he created a magic circle to teleport. Sure, Issei, but where are you going? Asked Elaine curiously. I have some serious talk to do with Tannen, so I'll be back after a couple of hours, said Issei. Alright, good, see you later then, said Elaine as Issei teleported away. As Issei teleported into his cave in the Dragon Mountains, he immediately flew into the sky to find Tannen, and after some time Issei found him flying in his direction. Issei, I didn't expect you to visit this soon, what? already out of apples. Joked Tannen. I want to discuss something important with you, this might help us build the faction and save the dragon race, said Issei with a serious voice. Seeing how serious Issei was, he decided to fly towards his cave to discuss the problems. 10 minutes later they landed at Tannen's cave entrance and set up a barrier so no one could hear their conversation. So, what is it that you have in mind? Asked Tannen. Chaos Brigade have the holy relics and are planning to unseal Dreamfiction. To help us build the dragon faction, we can gather our strongest dragons and train them. I can help with training when I have free time. Right now Valerica and her team are investigating this from the inside of the brigade. I know that we already don't have many dragons, but we don't really have any other choice. We will assist the 3 factions as the mighty dragon faction for more land and supplies for us to get our faction stronger. I know it's risky, but I think it might work out for us, explained Issei. I'll agree on this with one condition, said Tannen. Alright, and that is? Asked Issei. You have to become the leader of the faction while I will maintain the lands and do paperwork, said Tannen with a smirk. Issei was speechless. He only thought of helping to rebuild the mighty dragon faction and be a part of it as a protector. Hey, are you sure about this, Tannen? I mean, you are more of a leader than I am, asked Issei in disbelief. Sure. Why not? I believe that you'll be a great leader, of course, if you need any help I'll gladly help, plus you have Drake with you, he can advise and help you anytime, said Tannen with confidence. I agree, partner, I think you'll do good and I'll always help you with any problem you have, said Drake proudly. Issei's confidence and pride grew immensely high, so he agreed to the deal. Alright old man, sign me up, said Issei with confidence and determination burning in his eyes. Haha, I knew you would do it, I think all the dragons here will be really happy about the news, said proud Tannen. Whatever you say, old man, now I have to go home, so see you later, said Issei as he teleported away. I think that boy will bring the dragon race back and lead us to the great future, said Tannen smiling. Line break. I'm back, Elaine. Shouted Issei as he entered but got no response. Issei immediately put up his guard and saw something really disturbing. In the living room and kitchen, everything was destroyed. It looked like it was a battlefield. Then he noticed something on the wall. He saw a piece of paper stabbed with a knife into the wall. The letter said. Hello Arthur, last time when you sent your assassin to the Lord's mansion who stabbed me and took the maid with you, I wasn't in the best mood, so I sent our spies to find you and your slut. If you want her back, better come to the mansion and take her if you want her alive, that is. You have 2 days. Damn it. Shouted out Issei. They got Elaine, should I contact the others or panic Issei? Divide. Partner, calm down, just go and get the girl back after dealing with those weaklings, said Drake. Right, I'm not a weak pervert anymore, I can do this, said Issei with burning rage inside him. Issei unfolded his wings, but now they had Drake's flames on the sides of the wings. Issei teleported near the location and immediately flew with incredible speeds towards the mansion, but he was surrounded by guards once he landed in the front garden and in front of him stood the same old man who tried to assault Elaine. Who are you? Why are you here, boy? Asked the man. I'm here for Elaine, said Issei, suppressing his rage. So Arthur got scared to come by himself, so he sent his servant here? Mocked the man. No, he doesn't even know about any of this, currently he is on an important mission, so I'm the one who is here to deal with you tonight, replied Issei with a smirk. What are you going to do about it, boy? I bet you're just a weakling, last time was just a lucky shot. When I'm done with you I'll have my way with that slut and torture her to death, mocked the old man again while laughing like a maniac. Now Issei flared his aura, his eyes glowed from the rage, and his voice mixed with Drake's. I'll slaughter you all if you stand in my way, I will take Elaine back. Now kneel. Shouted Issei as he flared his aura. No one could withstand his aura, and the guards immediately fell to their knees and had trouble breathing. The head guard now saw how big of a mistake he made, angering Issei. Issei slowly made his way toward the old man while he begged for mercy. Please have mercy, I'll do anything. I'll give you money, women, anything you desire. Shouted the head guard with the last strength that he had. Filthy scum. You deserve to die 1,000 painful deaths, said Issei with a voice full of rage. Issei then proceeded with a fire breath, but instead of using regular fire, he used Drake's fire and burned him slowly while he was screaming out of pain. The other guards looked at their leader horrified and scared for their lives, they shivered from the fear and hoped that the boy would spare their lives. When Issei was done he calmed down and returned to normal. He proceeded to look around the other guards thinking if he should kill them too, they were just carrying their orders after all. But before Issei could decide, the front doors of the mansion were opened by 2 maids, and a middle-aged man who wore a noble outfit and resembled Arthur to a great degree walked outside with the maids in tow. His demeanor was brimming with elegance. Red Dragon Emperor, please calm down and let my guards free, please, spoke the man. I assume that you are Arthur's father TSK, fine, they can go as long as I get what I came here for, replied Issei as he calmed his aura down. That is correct, my name is Uther Pendragon, the head of the Pendragon household, but what is it that you need? It might cost you dearly for killing my head guard, Uther spoke. You better give Elaine to me or your life is no more, threatened Issei. But she was kidnapped a while ago, she's not here anymore. No, that bastard who you called head captain almost assaulted Elaine, so I kidnapped her that day, but today she was taken back here by that scum, threatening to follow through with his plan of using her, spoke Issei, in a low tone of voice, as he clenched his fists tightly. I see, I didn't expect my men to become this corrupted. Well, you're not a saint yourself, huffed Issei. Uther just smiled sadly before talking. Follow me, I have an idea where she is, said Uther, motioning to follow as he entered the mansion. Issei followed with no hesitation, if it was a trap he would kill them all then and there and find Elaine by himself. After walking through several corridors, Uther stopped in front of a brick wall, but before Issei could voice his words, Uther pressed one of the bricks and a magic circle appeared on the wall, rotating slowly before opening a secret entrance to a dungeon. Issei immediately went downstairs to find many chambers, and in one of them Elaine with torn maid outfit was crying on the ground, bruised up and chained to the wall. Elaine. Are you alright? Issei. What are you doing here? Asked a hopeful Elaine. I'm here for you, of course, did that bastard do anything to you? Asked worried Issei. Not really, just hit me, that's it, said Elaine. Alright, don't worry, I'll get you out of here, said Issei as he broke the cell doors. He then proceeded to free her from the chains. Here, drink this, said Issei as he took out Phoenix tears from his pocket dimension. Elaine took the tears and drank them, she healed immediately and retained some of her energy. Alright, let's go, said Issei as he helped her stand up. Elaine and Issei left the underground dungeon with Elaine in tow and was met by Uther waiting for them. I'm sorry for what happened to you, Elaine, please have a heart to forgive me, said Uther. Elaine was confused but more shocked by her former lord's actions, he would never apologize to a mate, especially Elaine who stole Arthur's heart. And I'm sorry for the inconvenience to you too, Red Dragon, I will personally deal with my men, said Uther. Issei just stared at the man for a good 2 seconds before walking away in silence with Elaine by his side. Just as Issei was about to leave, Uther spoke again. Please tell Arthur that I'm sorry and that I want to talk with him when he can. Before Issei could deny his request, Uther reassured Issei. Don't worry, I have learned not to force my children, I will have a talk with him and that's it, he can do whatever his heart desires. Issei calmed down and nodded after some thought before teleporting with Elaine away. Upon arriving at the mansion's destroyed living room, the both of them were met with worried Valerica and her team. They all immediately hugged Issei and Elaine and checked them for any wounds. Come on Val, we are fine, don't worry, said Issei nervously. Just what happened here? Demanded Valerica and Arthur for an explanation. Well, I had to talk with Tannen about important plans, Elaine was kidnapped here. Your father's head captain wanted you to come and take her back yourself if you wanted her alive. I was so pissed off that I almost killed a lot of people there, but I managed to get her back mostly peacefully. Explained Issei. Where is that bastard? I will kill him. Shouted Arthur with rage. Ed replied Issei with no emotion in his cold voice. Eh? What do you mean, asked Arthur. I burned him till there was nothing left, replied Issei with a blank look. Everyone was shocked by his statement. When he said he will torture and have his way with Elaine, I just couldn't hold my rage anymore, so I let off a bit of steam there, replied Issei, while clenching his fists and gritting his teeth. Arthur placed a hand on Issei's shoulder before talking. Thank you so much, Issei. You have no idea how much that means to me, I don't even know how to repay you, said Arthur. No need to repay, we're family. I'm just glad I could help out a brother, said Issei. Before everyone could leave, Issei stopped Arthur for a chat. Arthur, don't freak out, but your father asked me to tell you to come back and have a chat with him, and don't worry, he seemed to accept your decisions now, spoke Issei. I'll see what I can do, replied Arthur before leaving G with Elaine. Not much longer, Issei went to his bedroom to rest after an eventful day like this. Not even 5 minutes passed before Valerica came into his bedroom. Issei, are you sleeping? Asked Valerica quietly. No, can't sleep without you, said Issei jokingly. Valerica smiled before she went to his bed and laid down next to him. Issei immediately hugged her and wrapped her into his warm and comfortable wings. The flames on his wings didn't hurt her, in fact the flames comforted her. She wrapped her arms around Issei and they both fell into a deep and comfortable sleep. Thank you for watching part 1 of this video. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing and liking the video. I hope to see you in the next video.